That's at Martindale.
How many here graft? One? Two? Three? How many would like to graft? Okay. Why?
Trying to get this to grow.
Yeah, okay. All right. Who is that person over there? All right, let's see. What's this? All right, we're talking about grafting, so what is it?
This graft.
This is actually pride of Hank. Is that it?
Rootstock.
Okay, is that rootstock? Okay.
Brownie points for you.
And since you said that, I'm going to do that. And you're going to give it back eventually. But, all right, so that's the rootstock. On these, I've already cut the tops off. And it's kind of self-sustaining because you can grow them up till they get thick enough, about pencil size is what you want. Then you can cut the top off and start rooting that one. So it can keep going. In fact, I'll usually grow them up to about this tall. And I can usually get probably 4 cuttings off of the rootstock. And so from one rootstock, I can make 4 or 5 more. So once you get going, it can be really self-sustaining. I usually use Pride of Hankins. It seems to do really well for me. Let's see what Chris had to say.
It's Chris Noble from Australia.
My glasses. He said the advantage of Pride of Hankins is that it has soft wood and it's a fast rooter. Well, I know it's definitely a fast rooter. However, there are some zones where they prefer elbow because I think in the cooler weather, and in Europe I've heard that they would prefer elbow because cooler weather causes this one to rot a little bit. However, I was using elbow to try it out, and I found that elbow was susceptible to a root rot itself. Well, not a root rot, but a rot right around the soil line. So I quit using it. This one here is President. I hadn't used it before, but it seems to work really well. It has a lot of green in the cambium layer, and so that helps a lot. Another one, Hibiscus schizopetalus. It says, he said it was a real good one, disease-free, and it was nice and straight. Or also Psyche, if that's how you say it. It's a red one. And he said that one too is disease-free. So, but basically you can use almost anything as long as it roots well. But why? Why would you want to graft? Because most hibiscus root. So what's the advantage of grafting? And I'm glad Kurt's not here. Because I'd be hearing right now nothing. Any guess?
Well, I guess it's like 20% of them will not grow in their own roots. So if you have something you really love and it's not going to, you've tried cuttings and it's not what I've always said to that. I always try cuttings first, but when they just don't take that way, that this is the only way that you're going to get that clone of that plant.
Okay, that's good. So where are these white things? You get one too.
Ooh.
There you go.
Hey Matt, before you go any further, what do you actually grow your cuttings in for the rootstock? Do you use some kind of little cube or?
Most of the time I don't. I just use plug trays with a very lightweight Canadian peat mixed with vermiculite and perlite. But the Oasis cubes will work really well as long as you keep them nice and moist, and also helps if you have bottom heat. Bottom heat speeds it way up. So that's good. All right, so you were right about that. It's good to graft because some of them just won't grow on their own roots. Anybody ever been able to root red snapper? Or the one I have, cherry ice. I think Bobby DuPont was able to root that one time, but It's really hard. There's a lot of them that are almost impossible to root. So that's what it's good for. And if you've ever had red snapper, you know what a great plant it is, but it won't root. So that's another reason to do it. And also, he mentions that it might supply a rootstock. The rootstock might have some beneficial effects on the grafted variety, such as resistance to specific soil conditions, such as salt or waterlogging, resistance to root rot diseases, and a stronger top growth with a possible enhanced bloom size and form. I haven't done enough comparison because I mostly always graft, but when I bring my flowers to shows, they seem to be a lot bigger than most people, so, but maybe that's because I'm pumping full of steroids. So, all right, what is this? This is the rootstock, so what's this called? Scion.
You get it.
You can each get it, you both got it, right? All right, so the scion. All right, and then there's a couple of different ways to graft. There's a wedge, cleft, or top graft. Where's that machine you got?
It was like Christmas when she got this tool.
Yes,
Yeah.
it was.
She
These
told
used
me
to be
about
over
all day
$100. Now they're less than 20.
Why don't you do this? You've been using it, right?
Yeah, I just got it this
Okay,
week.
so go ahead and do it on that one.
Okay. Basically, what it does, it's got a blade in here, and on this side, it's got a slot. So when you put this in, it's supposed to give you the perfect, I will see. I was using thinner stuff. Any particular spot, Matt?
Do it kind of high up.
Okay.
High up as you can.
Okay.
No.
I was supposed to say that about the top, man. Right here. You kind of line it up on there.
Okay, so she's got that cut beautifully with that tool, and it left that. Now let's take a piece of wood that's fairly close in size. Melanie, you have to come back. Basically, I want to have about 3 eyes on a piece of wood if I can. You can actually do it with just one, and this one's going to end up with just 2, but if you can get 3, that's better. All right, so cut the bottom of that.
Okay. Preserve as much, or?
You want to cut it so that you're going to have, it's going to slip on.
Okay, so maybe we'll just come right here.
Okay, so now with that tool, this is actually called a wedge cleft or a top graft, and then it goes right on there. And you'll see that it's got a great green to green. So now what you'd have to do after that, all right, thanks, that was perfect.
That's on the internet for less than $20. I saw some of them for $13. It's the exact same tool. It came with the little kit and the whole thing, 2 extra
So-
blades.
This is tape grafting bands, and so you just wrap it around like that. It keeps it nice and tight. Now, if I was in my nursery, what I would do is I melt paraffin. It has you can get it melted, and the way I do it is I just test it on my wrist, and if it doesn't burn me, I figure it's not going to burn the plant, and so I keep it at that temperature. I would seal that up. I would seal the top up as well, and then I put them into an area where I have mist, because you want to have some humidity. But without the mist, they sell all kinds of stuff. I've never used this one. This actually came with, I have one of those things that Melanie has too, but I took mine apart and I don't know how to put it back together. But you can take this is what it's for, wrap it around like that, and now it's moisture proof. And the benefit of the graft that Melanie did was that with it going down like that, water's going to shed off of it anyway. So it's probably not going to get in anyway. So now you've got this. Now what you can do is maybe take a couple of pieces of bamboo, get a plastic bag, put it over, and you'll have humidity. And if you have it, you have to have it out of the sun though, because if you had the bag and the sun hitting it, it would just fry it. So in the shade, and if you can have it in a spot. He mentions here, I was noticing that the perfect temperature for grafts to take is between 75 and 77 degrees, right around in there. If it's higher than that, it'll still work. If it's lower than that, it'll still work, but it'll take longer either way. So at perfect conditions, about 20 days, that should all be nice and healed and should be popping out leaves. So.
The white stuff that you wrapped, that's kind of a waxy type tape, isn't it?
This one is mostly just
Under the paper?
this one here is mostly just kind of like what do you call it? Cellophane.
Oh, it's like a Scotch tape?
Sort of, yeah. It doesn't have any sticky.
Yeah, they also have this stuff here, this wax stuff that you can pull.
Right. This is a good one to use. It has the wax in it and it disintegrates. It'll totally disintegrate. Same thing with the bands that I use. The bands eventually the sun destroys them. So it doesn't hurt the young plant at all. So that's one of the grafting techniques. Another one is if you don't have the tool, it's the same thing. They cut it off right on top. Then take a knife. And I believe this is how Todd does a lot of his grafts, Todd in Louisiana. All right, so there's, let's see, which one did I cut before? Now on this, you would take a knife, and I mean, I hold it up like this when I'm doing it. Try not to cut myself. So you have kind of like you're making a little arrow point like that, and then stick it in the top here. If you can get both sides, if you can get a piece of wood that's exact, and you hit both sides of the green cambium layer, that's good, but as long as you hit one, it's fine. So that would go like that. The band to make it nice and tight. And then the wax would be how I would do it, but
It's just one. You see, you're trying to try.
I can't get past the rubber witting.
okay, so now that one's protected, and then you would do the same thing. That's a top graft. The problem with top grafts is that there's a lot of failure. I won't do top grafts because I can't have 20% to 50% failure in a commercial business. So I need something that's going to work almost every single time. And so that's the one that's used most often by most everybody. And that's the side graft. And with that graft, what you're doing is you're making a cut. It's about a 45. You want to go into about halfway into it, and then take off another little piece of where you just cut. So now you have this, just like that, an opening. And so you're going to have the green cambium on both sides of it. So now you take a piece of wood, try to match this guy up. I find that I usually think this is bigger than it is, but it's not. So you can usually find a piece, no problem. Now, you could do it like this and just hold it down, and you want the one cut. So you got like that. and then your second cut is smaller and at a sharper angle. So you have one that's kind of long and one that's kind of short. And then you just slip it right in where you made that little graft, little slice. And see, that's just perfect. That's on both sides. Again, take your rubber band. This is just how I do it. I was watching a video, and some people will take it, and you can get these longer too, it might be easier, but they'll take it and they'll wrap it around and then they'll tie it. But I mean, once you figure to use your finger, you can just pump these things out, which is what I want to do. So, and then again, you've got to protect it. There's the stuff here. Did they send you this with yours?
No.
No.
Although there's some of those kits that do have that, the parafilm in there.
What's the fancy tool?
I did have it on my computer, I had to look it up.
Now, the advantage of paraffin on the side graft is that you got this piece right here. So you'd be able to just flow it, seal it all in. That's what I would definitely do.
You actually use the melted wax
Yeah.
when you do the side
Yeah.
graft?
Yeah. I have a little, one of those little burners that I can control the temperature, and I use a paintbrush and I just paint it on. I'll do a bunch of grafts and then I'll just paint them on like that. The advantage of this one here over the top graft is that the rootstock is still going to kind of grow, and with the leaves up here, the leaves are what produce food. So it's going to be producing food. It's also going to be pulling water up from the roots, which you're not really going to get with this right here. There's no leaves and it's at the very top. So there's a good chance that's just going to dry out before it really connects. But with this one here, it's continuing to grow, and so what you would do is you'd wait maybe 20 days, 33 days is about average, and once you get 2 good leaves growing on that, then you're going to go back and you're just going to cut this off down here, and then you're all set. So who wants to try it?
Man, what's the most you've ever grafted in a day yourself? By?
A few
watching you.
A few hundred.
200?
No, a few.
A few
hundred. Yeah. What I'll do is I'll get all the root stocks together, and then I'll go and I'll cut all the wood. And one thing you want to do too is you want to probably treat the wood with something. You could treat it with a 10-to-1 bleach solution or something like that. If you want to use Captan or some kind of fungicide, you can do that. Dip it in just for a couple of seconds, take it out, let it dry off, because you want to get sterile as possible. You know, you can't be perfectly sterile, and you really don't want that anyway, but you don't want to have any kind of diseases on this thing, and so get rid of them before you do it.
Matt, do you use a plastic bag on the side graft as well? I mean, I know you.
Yeah, the plastic bag you would use on all of them if you're not putting it into a mist area.
And with the plastic bag, do you actually put it over the entire thing and connect it at the pot level, or do you just kind of put it over the plant and connect it at the bottom of where the graft is? In other words, do you go, this is what I'm always wondering with that.
That's Matt Martindale at the Sunset Chapter Hibiscus meeting.
Would you kind of go over the whole thing, like kind of like that, and
Yeah.
connect it like that?
Yeah.
Or do you just connect it like here? I mean, one is like I'm connecting it down here, and the entire plant is inside of it, you know, with some sticks and stuff. And the other one, if this was a lot shorter.
The main thing is to protect
Just this part
this
of it.
from drying out, but I mean, it's probably easier to go
The
over
whole
the
bag
whole
over
thing.
it.
You know, keep it steady, tape it to the side of the pot or something.
Okay.
You know, whatever works.
Okay. Gotta get a business.
So,
Okay, thank you, Matt Martindale.